Welcome to my first actual team selection video of the new season. Are you excited for Game Week 1 and for another whole season of FPL disappointment? Let me know what your predictions are for the Premier League this season. I'll just pop mine up on screen and quickly go through it. So I've got Man City to win the league again. How boring, I know, sorry. I think Arsenal will push them far again, and Liverpool will continue to be close behind. I've got Tottenham to finish in the top 4 this season, but I do think it'll be close between them and Man United, who I've got in 5th. Both teams should have an improvement from last season. I won't go through every team, but you can see here that I've got Newcastle finishing above Chelsea, as they've got no Champions League to worry about. And then I've got Villa just behind in 8th, as they do have Champions League to worry about. At the bottom of the league, I've got Southampton and Leicester going straight back down, and I've actually gone for a rogue one here. I've gone for Bournemouth to go down with them. I actually made this prediction a while ago, so I knew nothing about Solanke going to Spurs at the time, but that has just reinforced my belief that they'll go down even more. That then means that I've got Ipswich just surviving, along with Brentford, Nottingham Forest and Everton again. Let me know if you agree or disagree and we'll have a debate in the comments. Okay, so let's have a look at my Game Week 1 team. Now I have no idea what number draft this actually is. I've made far too many and it's still nearly impossible to get a team I'm happy with, even now, so fair play FPL, you've absolutely nailed the player pricings. Anyway, let's start in goal. I've gone for David Raya from Arsenal. We all know how strong Arsenal's defence is. I'm aware that they've got some difficult fixtures to start the season, with Villa away in Game Week 2, Tottenham and Man City in Game Week 4 and 5, but during pre-season they've proved to me that they're going to continue at the same strength they did last season and keep a load of clean sheets throughout this season. Saliba and Gabriel at the back are just so solid, and in my opinion they have the potential to keep a clean sheet against anyone really. We obviously don't know what the state of players or teams is going to look like in 4 or 5 weeks' time, so I don't want to worry too much about the fixtures. Anyway, he's effectively just a set and forget keeper for me. I can play him against anyone. I had previously been going for a 4.5 mil keeper, so I started with a Nottingham Forest keeper, as they have really good fixtures to start with. But I'm not 100% sure I trust their defence, even though they were the 6th best defence last season. And then I moved on to Henderson once it was clear he was going to be the first choice for Palace. But again, the fixtures aren't amazing, and if I was to go for the Palace defence, I think I'd rather have Munoz or Anderson, who, have the potential to get me some attacking returns too. That being said, if I was to change back to a 4.5 goalkeeper, Henderson would be my pick. I don't think there's too much wrong with him as a choice, but I'd rather have a keeper I can just leave there and play every game. My backup keeper is just a 4 million placeholder in Valdemarson. I'm still unaware of any playing 4 million keepers, so unless that arises, I don't think it matters who you pick as a backup, unless you're going for 2 rotating 4.5 million keepers. But I would advise against that, as I think it's such a headache trying to predict the clean sheets every week, and you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. In defence for Game Week 1, I'm going for Gabriel, Lewis Hall and Pedro Porro. Yes, I've decided to go for the double up on the Arsenal defence, which could obviously backfire, or it could give me an incredible start to the season if they do keep a clean sheet. The reason I've gone for this setup is, I think obviously Arsenal are the best defence in the league, right? So in terms of clean sheets, I'm looking at the Arsenal players. So I've gone for Gabriel over Saliba, just because I do think he's got more attacking potential, even though they did both just score a goal in their final pre-season game for Arsenal. You might think, but then you've got double Arsenal defence away at Aston Villa in Game Week 2. But I don't, because he rotates well with Robinson of Fulham, who has Leicester at home in Game Week 2. But we'll get into that later on. Having Gabriel there as a £6 million defender means that I can swap to Saliba or Gvardiol whenever I want. And as you can see in the corner, I've also got 1 million in the bank. So if I did need to go and rush Trent in, I am able to do that, as I can get up to 7 million. Although that isn't in my plan. I've then chosen Lewis Hall at 4.5 million because his attacking potential during pre-season was just great and I love the positions he was taking up. Yes, there are some risks around his minutes, but if you're willing to take that risk, and I genuinely do believe he's first choice left back for How Now, he could have a great start to the season. Pedro Porro completes my back line, and with how attacking he is and his 2 goals in pre-season, I can't not have him in my team when he plays Leicester and Everton in the first 2 fixtures. I can see Tottenham absolutely smashing Leicester in game week 1, but it's just whether Porro can get in with the attacking returns. But if he can, he always looks good for bonus points, even with the new system making it harder for defenders. On my bench I've got Robinson and Barco, who are just there to rotate for me when the others have a more difficult fixture. I'll take you through my team for the following weeks at the end of the video so you can see all the rotations I'm thinking of and stuff like that. Let's move on to the midfield now, and you can see that I've actually gone without Mo Salah for game week 1. I've spent so long saying I'll definitely go for both, it works better structure-wise, but the closer I've got to the deadline, it just detracts too much from the rest of my team trying to find the extra money. I've tried to keep as much of a balanced structure as possible, so I've gone for Eze in there at 7 million, who's obviously a popular choice at over 33% ownership. He is just Palace's talisman. I know he only played one game in pre-season, but he's just a player I see as great value, and maybe one of the only players in the game that might actually be like 0.5 mil underpriced. And I also do like Palace's fixture run too in terms of attacking numbers. Apart from Liverpool in game week 7, there isn't really a game that I'm not happy to play him in. I've then got Minte at 5.5 million, who is one of my budget enablers basically, along with Smith Rowe on my bench for game week 1. Minte has been phenomenal in pre-season for Brighton, and Smith Rowe has scored in 2 out of 2 games so far that he's played for Fulham. The idea is that I play one of these two, at least for the first 3 game weeks, as I like the Everton fixture for Minte, and then Smith Rowe has Leicester and Ipswich in game weeks 2 and 3, and then Brighton go back to having good fixtures, so they rotate like really well together, and I think they could both be like game breakers this season, especially Minte. Next, I've got Son in the team. Now, with dropping Salah, I needed to make sure that I had at least one premium midfielder, like structure-wise. So for me, Son is my choice. A lot of people seem to have gone off him, or have not even put him in their teams in the first place, especially since Solanke's joined. But for some reason, because Spurs have now obviously got a nailed out-and-out striker, then people are now not keen on Son. But that made me want Son even more. Like, he's so much better on the left than through the middle. And now he's got a clinical striker to finish off his chances as well as scoring goals. So people are forgetting how good Son was when Kane was in the team. It's impossible to know for sure, but I also think Son will keep penalties for now. He may give Solanke the odd one if he needs confidence or anything like that, but with Leicester and Everton the first 2 game weeks, I've then got a premium midfielder that I can move on to Saka, Palmer, Foden, any of them really. I've got the money in the bank to do so, and if not, I could just use the extra 1 million in the bank to upgrade one of my 5.5 midfielders to a 6.5. There's so many options with this team. Finally in midfield, I've got Jota. I hate using this phrase, but he kind of does cover for Salah, even though he's kind of not. I do think for the opening game weeks at least, he can actually match Salah. There's obviously the risk of his minutes when there's Gakpo and Darwin Núñez on the bench as well, but I think he should start the first few at least. And with the fixtures Liverpool have got, I had to get one of them in. And if Jota's playing as the number 9 for Liverpool, then as a 7.5 million midfielder, he's a must-have. I do also like the look of Szoboszlai at 6.5, but I want to make sure he continues to play in that 10 role before I think about adding him to my team. And finally, moving on to my front 3, my attackers. And I'm sure you're not surprised to see Erling Haaland in there. I just can't go without him. I don't want to be hiding behind my sofa every weekend while he bangs in another hat-trick. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but for my enjoyment of the game, I'm having him in there. And for now, he's also going to be my captain as well. He's already scored a hat-trick against Chelsea in pre-season, so who's to say he can't do it again? I have also got Isak in my team, who I have also thought about captaincy for, as well as Son, so we'll see if I change my mind on that, but for now it's Haaland. Isak, I believe, will be the highest owned player in the game at 8.5 million. He's effectively essential at the minute. If you don't have him in and he does well, then your rank's going to be screwed just because everyone else does have him. The opening 2 fixtures look great for Newcastle, and he's already been scoring in pre-season, so hopefully he just carries on. My final striker is Chris Wood from Nottingham Forest, as he's also been banging in the goals, and I really like their opening fixtures of Bournemouth and Southampton and Wolves. I did really want to get Solanke in, to be fair, but I just can't find the money to get him, even with the 1 mil in the bank. I don't really want to downgrade anyone, so that might be a thought for a later game week. The other option with him is that after game week 3, I'm moving to João Pedro at 5.5. as he's on penalties and Brighton have a good run of fixtures at that point. So I'd then have 1.5 mil to spend elsewhere. Or I could use the 0.5 to then go Isak to Watkins at that point, and then use the million to upgrade a different player. I'm not sure right now, but this team just gives me so many options. I really like it. It doesn't leave me stuck in any department. It's well balanced, has good rotations and good fixtures. The only thing it's missing is Mo Salah, but I think I'll just have to live. Just quickly then, before I do end the video, we'll have a quick look at how my team looks for the following game weeks using the Fantasy Football Scout mobile app. And if you haven't got it or used it before, I seriously recommend it. It gives such good information and is really useful for planning ahead for your team. So in game week 2, Gabriel will come to the bench, so I don't have the double Arsenal defence against Aston Villa, and he'll be swapped with Robinson, who plays Leicester at home. And then Minte will also drop to the bench so that Smith Rowe can come into the midfield against Leicester as well. That leaves everyone with a really good fixture, and I'm loving the look of that. And then for game week 3, it does get a little bit tougher as Newcastle do play Spurs, so I've got a lot of players that kind of play each other. But by bringing Gabriel back into the team against Brighton and dropping Hall to the bench, I'm still very happy with how it looks. Then moving into game week 4, you could do what I said before and bring João Pedro in for Wood, upgrade Isak to Watkins for Villa and Brighton's good run of fixtures. And all this time, I've still had an extra million in the bank, so if I do get stuck or a player gets injured or anything like that, I'm sorted. So yeah, I won't go any further than that, or I'll end up going through the entire season, but the fixtures stay pretty good after that, and this is just my favourite team so far with the flexibility that it gives me. So that is my team selection for game week 1. I hope I've made sense of my thinking behind each selection. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if there's any decisions you want help with or anything, just leave them in the comments and I'll reply to every single one of them. There's lots more videos that will be coming throughout the season, so if you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.